Today, we're going to look at an excerpt from the account of Günter Koscher-Rock. He joined the front in the autumn of 1942 as a member of the 24th Panzer Division and survived the war. He compiled his memoir from scattered diary entries, aiming to capture the perceptions and daily life of a Lancer, a typical German army soldier. He deliberately obscured the real names of individuals and units involved. Stalingrad, October 30th, 1942. Réveillé is at 6 a.m. and it's still dark outside. We receive some hot coffee and food. No one knows for sure what's happening, although rumors are circulating. One says we haven't yet reached our final destination. Another claims this is only a single regiment from the division, and that we'll be transferred from here to our unit in Stalingrad. The unit's strength is said to have been drastically reduced, and we are the replacements. We're told that the entire regiment doesn't even amount to 2 full companies at the moment. Rumors are often the only source of information for the average soldier. Even if they don't align perfectly with reality, there's usually a grain of truth in them. I miss Obergefreiter Marsog and the others from the convalescent company back in Insterburg. It seems they've already been picked up. Now the usual routine begins. We fall in 2 ranks. We always position ourselves in the second row so we can stay together, all except for Malzahn. The entire group consists of 90 men. Assigned to the 1st Battalion, Regiment 21, or so says a young Oberleutnant. We are picked up around noon by several trucks and 4 Mercedes personnel carriers. All the vehicles bear the division's tactical emblem, a leaping rider enclosed in a circle. I'm given a seat next to the driver in one of the 8-man carriers. We set off along an MSR, a main supply route, a wide road packed with traffic. The surface is undulating, smooth and shiny like bacon rind, stretching across the steppe in an almost perfectly straight line. Occasionally, side roads branch off, their junctions plastered with unit symbols and village names. Rumors are flying. It's no longer certain we're heading to Stalingrad, I ask the driver, an Obergefreiter, and he tells me we're not going to Stalingrad, but rather to a so-called winter position. This is where the baggage trains are stationed, since they can no longer be brought into the city. From here, the troops fighting in the northern suburbs of Stalingrad are supplied with food and ammunition. October 31st. The winter position is near a coal causeway on the open steppe. Along one side lies a rachel, a deep, often long rectangular trench where the steppe suddenly dips. These rachels are natural geological formations, often 10 to 20 feet deep in an otherwise flat landscape. Some are small, others large enough to shelter an entire battalion, complete with vehicles and men. A Hauptfeldwebel, in soldier slang, also called the Spieß or mother of the company, meets us. He informs us that we now belong to a division rich in tradition, one that was still a cavalry unit during the Polish and French campaigns. He explains that the unit is particularly proud of its old cavalry designations. A Feldwebel is called a Wachtmeister, a company is a Schwadron, and a battalion is an Abteilung. A Hauptmann is referred to as a Rittmeister. Yes, Herr Hauptwachtmeister, we shout in response to his question, though what he asked is lost in the noise. Whether we understood him or not, after one more division, we were 30 men assigned to the 1st Schwadron, while the others were sectioned off to the 2nd Schwadron, which was actually located quite close to us. We were then informed that our squadron had been fighting with a total strength of only 26 men. The regiment itself was under strength, engaged in combat within the ruins of Stalingrad, mostly in small, fragmented units. Due to the shortage of officers, many of these groups were led by Unteroffizier. The fighting was said to be brutal. Brick walls no longer stood, and the piles of dead and wounded grew higher with each passing day. This news certainly didn't inspire enthusiasm. What had happened to all the reports of proud German advances? The ones we'd heard just days ago? Were they exaggerated, or was this merely a temporary setback in the usual stream of victories, November 1st to 6th? Given the situation, we were all surprised to learn that we wouldn't be sent to the front immediately. Instead, we had to endure the usual Army Mickey Mouse routine, saluting officers, standing at attention, forming up, listening to speeches from our leaders, and so on. Even after training is completed, recruits are still considered novices and must prove themselves as real soldiers. Fair enough, but they should at least give us the chance to prove it. November 9th. The intermittent explosions and general racket from the Stalingrad front are barely audible here. At night, the sky is always red, and the searchlights of the Rollbahn UVD can often be seen sweeping the horizon for likely targets. This evening, supplies from the stores are being handed out. Each man receives a bottle of juniper brandy, some cigarettes, or tobacco, a little chocolate, and some writing materials. When I was 16, I barely survived a bout of alcohol poisoning while on holiday, helping a friend bottle cognac for his parents' restaurant. Ever since, I throw up at the mere smell of alcohol. So being a heavy smoker, I trade my brandy with some of the non-smokers for extra tobacco or cigarettes. Still, the alcohol brings a bit of atmosphere into our bunker, and after a while, song fills the air again. Grommel and I stay sober. We're scheduled to take over the next watch. It's cold and windy, and I'm grateful for my heavy lined winter coat. During our march, I cursed it more than once for its weight, but now it's a blessing. I wake Grommel for his shift. The rest are sleeping. There's a stench in the bunker that nearly knocks me over, so I crack the door to let in some fresh air. November 11th. The weather is colder, but at least it stays dry. Overnight, everything has been covered in white frost, delicate as filigree. There's movement in the air. Every day, our bombers fly toward Stalingrad. You can spot the Russian anti-aircraft defense zone by the puffs of smoke scattered across the sky. I'm on watch with a friend from our bunker. The supply truck has just returned from Stalingrad, as it does every night. They unload 2 dead and 3 wounded. An Oberwachtmeister is said to be seriously injured. The wounded are loaded into an ambulance, which will take them to the main medical station. Up to this point, we hadn't seen any dead men. The bodies are always buried in a designated spot. I saw all the wooden crosses days ago as we drove past them during maneuvers. 3 Lanzen have come back with the supply truck and are being reassigned for health reasons. They're sent to different bunkers, and one of them joins ours. After my guard duty, I return to the bunker and find my place on the mattress taken. The Lanz from Stalingrad has claimed it. I can barely make out his face. It's covered in beard stubble. His peaked cap nearly hides his eyes, and the ear flaps are pulled down tight. He's in a deep sleep, though he doesn't snore. Every now and then, he twitches, as if caught in a bad dream. I lie down in Karat's spot. He's the one who relieved me. November 12th. Today at noon, the sergeant major has taken me off maneuvers and assigned me a special task. I'm to dig a new latrine, as the old one is already full. 2 Russian prisoners, taken out of Stalingrad a couple of days ago, are supposed to help me with the job. It's the first time I've seen Russian soldiers up close, and I study them with curiosity. In their dirty brown coats and greasy headgear with long ear flaps, they don't look particularly dangerous, just foreign. One appears to be of Mongolian descent. Their faces are unshaven and gray, their eyes restless. I can sense insecurity and apprehension in their expressions. Honestly, I'd probably feel the same if I were in their shoes. Both Russians turn out to be rather lazy. I estimate they're between 25 and 30 years old. I have to prod them constantly to get any work done. We've just finished digging, and I'm admiring our work when one of the Russians suddenly throws down his shovel and lunges past me, straight into the trench. The other leaps in after him. I crouch instinctively, then jump in as well, landing directly on top of the first Russian. Now all 3 of us are lying flat on our stomachs in the trench. Above us we hear the rattle of aircraft cannon as shells slam into the ground. A shadow, accompanied by a droning noise I know all too well, sweeps sideways overhead. The iron Gustav must have crept up on us, flying low over the kolkhoz. The new latrine is some distance from the rest of the unit. I peer over the edge of the trench toward the bunker and the vehicle dugouts. The iron Gustav is circling back at low altitude and opens fire again with his 2 wing-mounted cannons. He also drops several medium-sized bombs. Suddenly, 2 more combat aircraft appear in the sky. They too unleash metal from their cannons and drop bombs. The other part of our unit must be over there. Or are they firing on the men out on maneuvers? Machine guns from all directions now fire back at the aircraft, and I can hear the louder bangs of a 20mm anti-aircraft cannon. Sparks fly from the bellies of the planes as if someone is welding. Normal bullets bounce off the armor, but then a smoke trail appears. One of them has been hit. An iron Gustav peels off, crashes into the steppe, and bursts into flames. The rest flee. I jump up and run toward the bunkers and vehicles. Except for the men in the orderly room, only a few sick and a couple of drivers have remained in the bunker. I see 1 or 2 bomb craters near the vehicles, some of which have holes torn through their side paneling. Petrol is leaking from one of the trucks. The rest of the unit returns from maneuvers late in the afternoon. They've heard nothing about the air attack. They were too far away. Warrior says they were near Karpovka, along the Kalach-Stalingrad railway line. The damage to the bunker is quickly repaired, November 13th. The weather has hardly changed. It's cold and dry, reportedly minus 15 degrees C, or around 2 degrees C. In Stalingrad, the Russians are launching daily attacks in our sector, each preceded by a heavy artillery barrage. So far, the assaults have been repelled, but with severe losses. Only 18 men remain on the front line from our squadron. The entire regiment has been reorganized into a single combat unit and is moved around wherever it's needed most. Hot meals and fresh ammunition arrive more or less daily. Alongside the kitchen staff, Unterarzt Winter, the medical orderly, goes with them, plus 2 drivers and their vehicles. 2 volunteers are needed to lug the mess buckets around. Copper and I volunteered yesterday. The roster rotates from bunker to bunker, and now it's my turn. It's almost dark when we set off. We've got one KF-70 MTW personnel carrier with a soft top and a 1.5-ton Opel Blitz 4 full with a tarpaulin cover. We drive into the dusk with our lights dimmed. The kitchen was the way, but says there's no such thing as a hot comfort in Stalingrad. Amid the ruins, the front shifts hour by hour. We're now driving purely by moonlight along an MSR. Traffic comes toward us and overtakes us. To the right, the railway line runs from Kalash to Stalingrad. Just beyond Warupanova station, we turn off to the left. And after a few kilometers, we're already deep inside the ruins of the city. We drive through shallow craters and over heaps of rubble, dodging debris and overturned telegraph poles. Thick, acrid smoke from smoldering fires chokes our lungs. To the left and right lie the burnt-out wrecks of various military equipment. Our driver zigzags slowly toward what looks like a small forest or park. We're now standing atop a small hill and can see part of the city. More black smoke, more smoldering fires. It's a terrible sight, and we can feel Stalingrad's hot breath. This must be how Rome looked after Nero set it ablaze. The only difference is that here, the inferno is worsened by screaming shells and lethal explosions, heightening the madness and giving the onlooker the impression that he's witnessing the end of the world. The deeper we penetrate into the city, the closer the shells fall around us. The usual evening blessing from Ivan, remarks the medic. It's meant to sound lighthearted, but it falls flat. He's sitting hunched on ammunition boxes, just as I am. My heart is hammering at the throat. Fear has gripped me. Then a new sound fills the air, like the rush of 1,000 wings. It grows louder and seems to be coming straight at us. Get out! It's the Stalin Orgel! Yells the medic. We leap from the wagon and dive for cover beneath a large burnt-out tractor. The rushing noise passes overhead. And then the explosions rain down around us, just like fireworks. A splinter the size of a man's hand spins past my head and slams into the ground beside copper. That was a bit of luck, says the medic. Behind us, we hear cries for help. Someone from the anti-aircraft position must have been hit. That's the one we drove past, says Unteroffizier Winter, who's just jumped into a shell hole. Come on, let's go. We've got to keep moving. We climb back onto the vehicles. The medic explains that the Stalin Orgel is a primitive rocket launcher mounted on the back of an open truck. The rockets are fired electrically. They can't hit precise targets, but Ivan uses them to saturate large areas. And God help anyone caught in the open. We now drive very carefully. Many places have had to be thoroughly cleared so vehicles can pass through the wreckage. We meet other vehicles that seem to have the same idea as we do. Many of them are. They're loading up the wounded and the dead. This can only be done at night, when, at least in theory, the Russians can't see what's happening. But the enemy knows exactly what's going on, and he's pulverizing the area with artillery and heavy guns. There are always some Namoskinen in the air. We often see these biplanes clearly silhouetted against the fiery glow in the sky. tracer rounds climb high overhead, and in front of us, we hear the rattle of machine gun fire. I can tell it's Russian by the sound. Hand grenades are going off, and we hear shouting. We come to a halt amidst the ruins. Winter disappears, returning a few minutes later. Our people are supposed to be in the same area they were in yesterday, he says. We'll move in as close as we can, and then we'll have to carry the stuff the rest of the way. The vehicles move forward gingerly, a yard at a time. I see 2 burnt-out Russian T-34 tanks. We pass them and approach a large building with wide open spaces, like a factory. In the background, rising out of the ruins and silhouetted against the firelight, stands a tall chimney, looking for all the world like a threatening finger pointing at the sky. We pull up in the shadow of the factory and begin to unload. But Russian artillery shells are falling precisely where we need to go. Some land dangerously close to us. A fire flares behind us. A vehicle has been hit. There's another blaze nearby, probably a petrol dump or something like it. We wait, ready to move. Craters lie ahead, along with piles of stone and debris. Between the screams of incoming shells and the thunderous roar of their explosions, I get goosebumps. We advance in zigzags, clambering over stones and beams. We stumble, lie flat, get up again, and continue forward. Stay close together, croaks Winter. In the glare of a fire, I see men running. Then more hand grenades explode. Several figures dash past us, bent double. Winter gets up and speaks to them. I recognize an officer's uniform. We've got to move further to the right, he says afterward. A couple of hours ago, they threw Ivan out of this area. Now there's hell to pay. He wants it back. We creep forward carefully. Then we come. We come to an open space littered with clumps of earth and concrete blocks, iron rods jutting out at odd angles. Perhaps this was once a bunker, destroyed long ago by our own bombs. A long wall rises at the far end, with 3 pillars still standing. They're supposed to be somewhere near there, says Winter, pointing toward the wall. We can't go any further. Ivan's firing like mad at the churned-up ground we need to cross. Has he spotted us? We crouch behind the concrete blocks, but the shells are landing so close, I can feel the heat of the metal on my face, and the muscles in my back begin to cramp. In front of us, tracer bullets streak into the sky. Rifles and machine guns crackle. Is Ivan launching an attack? The shooting gradually dies down. Go now, to the wall, Winter barks. We sprint through the chaos of rubble wire and twisted iron. We see no one. Slithering along the wall, we come to a basement entrance. Suddenly a voice calls out from somewhere, low and gravelly, as if from the grave. Hey mate, get out of here. What do you want to do? Bring Ivan down on our heads? A steel helmet rises from the ruins. We're looking for our unit, I hear Winter say. Which one? The voice asks. Winter tells him, no idea. We don't belong to that crowd. But if you're looking for the ones who threw Ivan out of here this morning, you'll find them about 50 meters further to the right, in that large factory building. But get out of here, and thank your lucky stars it's quiet right now. The head with the steel helmet disappears again. He calls this quiet? We hardly dare lift our heads from the dirt. During a brief lull, we stumble forward, broken glass crackling underfoot. Shadows leap from the ruins. Immediately, tracer fire zips toward us. and bursts of machine gun fire slam into the wreckage around us like a hailstorm. We hurry on, the mess buckets clattering against the concrete blocks. A shadow appears beside us. "You the supply blokes from 1st Squadron?" comes a voice from the darkness. "Is that you, Domscheit?" Winter demands. "Yep, I've been waiting for you for 2 hours to show you the way." Domscheit is an Obergefreiter. He tells us that they carried out a counterattack this morning and are now positioned a bit further forward in the factory building. Winter swears. "Every time we come, you're somewhere else. One day we'll probably end up delivering these supplies straight to Ivan." "Oh, that's been done before," says Domscheit. "Last night, 4 men from the 74th Infantry Division walked right into Ivan's hands with food and ammunition. During the counterattack this morning, only empty containers were found. No sign of the men. We creep behind Domscheit, tracer fire whizzing in from both sides. I stumble and bang a metal strut with my canteen, making an awful racket. Instantly, a Russian machine gunner opens up. A strip of tracer bullets lights up the night. Ivan is close. We drop flat. The shots sing over my head and explode against the concrete block. Chalky spray drizzles down my neck, mixing with sweat. I roll forward and drag the 2 mess buckets behind the block. Has also let go of his mess bucket and is hauling it to safety. He's lying a couple of paces ahead, next to a protective wall. I try to catch up, take a step forward, and fall into emptiness. Hands grab me and pull me up. "Hang on," says a deep voice. "Where did you come from so suddenly? We were just about to fire on you. You were bloody lucky," Domscheit tells them. "Christ, do you have to use this particular street? Even sitting right on our backs here. I came through here just 2 hours ago, and Ivan was further forward." "Yeah, but in the last hour..." "Not so," Domscheit replies. "Max, do you have your sprayer ready?" asks the low voice. "Of course, as always," comes the answer. "Good. Then we'll give you covering fire. You can get through behind us across the street. Now, off with you." On their first burst of fire, we dash off. Copper is faster than me and nearly pulls my arm out of its socket. I'm still gripping the other handle of the food container. Ivan fires wildly in return. Then the artillery opens up. Between the cracks of gunfire, I hear the thud of mortars. The rounds loop toward us and explode all around. The bombardment feels like a wild animal, hunting us, and we squeeze together in a bombed-out basement. I duck lower with each explosion, expecting the ceiling to collapse at any moment and bury us all. The earth above shakes like an earthquake. My nerves are fluttering. I never imagined I could be this terrified. You can't do anything. Not a thing. The only solution might be to get out and run. But where? The only advantage would be that death might come more quickly. For heaven's sake, they're always going on about the proud, successful German advances in the army news bulletins. But here in Stalingrad, I haven't seen any of that. The only thing I understand is that we're holed up in these ruins like cowering rats, fighting for our lives. But what else can we do, given the Russian superiority? The driver and the medic are sitting next to me, with Winter and Copper on the other side. Copper is as white as a sheet. We're all staring at the ceiling, which already has a frightening number of cracks. Domscheit has the strongest nerves. He's standing by the entrance, staring out into the darkness. As far as Copper and I are concerned, these few hours in Stalingrad have already crushed any enthusiasm we might have had for war. And we haven't even had any personal contact, as they so nicely put it. My thoughts now are focused solely on how and when we're going to get out of here alive. We've been stuck in this god-awful heap of ruins for hours, and we still haven't reached our unit. From his position at the entrance, Domscheit tells us that Ivan is firing at the slightest movement. Because our machine guns opened up earlier, Ivan probably thought we were launching another attack and wanted to make sure it was crushed before it began. If only he knew we're quite happy keeping our heads down for now, until we get our replacements, that is, says Domscheit. We're supposed to be relieved by fresh troops, he adds, according to our Wachtmeister. He who believes is indeed blessed, murmurs the medic. Finally, the barrage lifts, after what feels like an eternity. We jump up. Domscheit knows the way. He heads toward a ruined factory building, aware that someone may be lying in wait, watching everything. Softly, he calls out the code word. While we're still some distance away, Domscheit calls out the code word and gives his name. We reach a basement entrance half covered by wreckage. Domscheit leads us through a narrow corridor into a room where an iron plate has been placed in front of the doorway. 2 Hindenburg lanterns cast just enough light to push back the darkness. Domscheit makes a dry, ironic introduction. May I present our new battle headquarters? A heap of sacks and a few rags are strewn across the ground. Curled up on top of them are 2 Lanzen. Another sits on a couple of stacked ammunition boxes. Startled by the noise we've made, the 2 Lanzen jump up and help us carry the containers into the room. Both men look utterly exhausted. Who knows when they'll next get any sleep? I can barely distinguish their faces beneath the layers of dirt and stubble, but I suppose we all look about the same now. Then a Wachtmeister enters. He says hello and offers his hand to Vikut. I recognize him. He's the one who shoved the old Russian man's head into the bucket at the well. He tells Winter that the last remaining officer in the group became a casualty this morning. Now he's in charge of the sector. The men are positioned in front of and to the sides of this area, hidden among the ruins. The fighting ebbs and flows, and no one really knows where the Hauptkampflinie runs anymore. Casualties today, 1 dead, 2 wounded. They're already en route to the main medical center. This is the craziest place imaginable. The Russians are often only 20 or 30 meters away, sometimes within hand grenade range. Just 200 meters in front of us lies a deep trench that leads directly to the banks of the Volga. From there, Ivan brings in reinforcements every night. For days now, we've all been waiting impatiently to be relieved, or at least reinforced. But we're beginning to doubt whether anyone is coming. That last sentence is whispered to Winter, but with my sharp ears I catch it. So even they have their doubts. That makes me think. The warm food and coffee must be frozen solid by now, even though the containers have double skins and are supposed to be insulated. Winter has brought a fair supply of solid methylated spirits and a fuel burner to heat the food. The meal is ice cold, but not frozen solid. It's a good, thick noodle soup with plenty of canned beef. Far better than what we get in the bunkers. These men have more than earned such decent rations. Winter is urging us to start heading back. It's been an hour since we left our bunker. The Wachtmeister needs more ammunition, which we've got on the trucks. He assigns 5 men to go with us. On the way back, the Russians lob more heavy shells into the area. We sprint after the lead soldier at the double, stopping only briefly each time a large shell lands nearby. We jump onto the trucks and sit on the empty ammunition boxes. The dead soldier we're taking back lies in the front, zipped inside a body bag. There's supposed to be another road we can take. The driver says the route through the village of Pechanga and past another kolkhoz to Vavarovka is shorter from here. Because of the frost, all roads are passable. But first, we have to work our way through the ruins. Every now and then, the vehicles drop into a trench and climb out the other side. We're catapulted towards the back and have to hang onto the tailgate. The ammo boxes slide after us, slamming into our jackboots. Just keep going, I think. Just get out of here. When it all starts up again, we need to be well out of range. We pass through another deep trench and have to help push the truck out. Several other vehicles pass us, including VW Jeeps carrying officers. The MSR is rough, but hard and solid. How far is it now? I ask the medic, who's looking back at us through a slit in the tarpaulin. Just a few kilometers, I hear him say. At that moment, we all hear a thundering noise, as though the world is about to split apart. I slide hastily toward the back and release part of the tarpaulin. What I see makes me cringe. Copper joins me, staring open-mouthed. It would be a beautiful sight, if not for the sinister roaring and the endless explosions that make you realize thousands of lives are being sacrificed. The sky glows over Stalingrad. Grayish-white smoke billows from the ground. Flames shoot high into the air. Between them, the long, probing fingers of searchlights tear at the half-darkness of breaking day. There must be dozens of aircraft overhead. Bombs rain down ceaselessly on a city condemned to death. The explosions merge into one another, creating a devastating inferno. Tracer patterns from anti-aircraft guns climb high into the sky for kilometers around. 2 aircraft explode over the hellish fires and are swallowed by them. This is absolutely insane. No one can survive this. And yet, even in this inferno, some do. Not only that, they defend themselves and fight back. The proof is that after every bombardment, the enemy counterattacks again. Sometimes he even gains ground, though usually he's stopped and pushed back to where he started. This has been the pattern since early September, ever since German troops forced their way into the city. But because of the strong defenses along the Volga, the Germans have now been forced to hide in the ruins. When we return to the bunkers, it's full daylight. We hear only the distant droning noise, just as before. But for me, it's no longer the same. I now see the disaster that will come out of this hapless city. It's a stark warning to everyone languishing in the rear areas, wasting their time making their quarters comfortable for the winter.